So today we're heading to the Holiday Woodlands Nature Preserve, located on the east side of Traverse City, more or less. Beautiful location. A little lesser known at this point in time. It's been recently acquired, and financial stability, I think, is more in place than it was last year at this time, due to some community partners. It's a great project and a really nice place, and I'm glad it's not been taken over by developers. There's some really rich habitat and ecosystems that are really important for the health of our waterways in this area. We're midway to the location right now, along the water of East Grand Traverse Bay. To the right is the State Park Campground, very popular this time of year, and all year as always. Today the clouds are supposed to be breaking up a little bit as the morning progresses, and I'm hoping to get to my location before the light breaks through, so I can get my tripod and my camera set up right. Black tea before any adventure is always a plus. Alright, so I wanted to show you what camera I brought along today, but first, before I do, I have to get the shot. The light's coming through the clouds and it's just too good to miss. I will say it's a Kodak. Composition's over that way towards where I'm pointing. Hoping this works out. The sun is dipped behind the clouds again, kind of thick. I have a few moments. So I want to introduce to you my Kodak Z-980, one of my favorite bridge cameras I've ever used. I love my Panasonics, but there's something about a Kodak sensor that I think just surpasses the Panasonics. Image, noise, I don't care. I think it looks cool. A little film grain looking. On this camera today, I have some Kodak filters as well to round up the Kodak theme. I have a polarizer on here, and I also have a warming filter on here. You can see there on the ring. I love the combination of the Kodak sensor. It's just brilliant. The Kodak Z-980 features a 24x image stabilized wide angle zoom lens. It's a great compromise between wide angle and zoom. Starts out at I think 26 or 27 millimeter, I can't remember. It's pretty generous though for what it is. Something else to notice about the Kodak Z-980 is it's a pretty substantial camera for being a compact bridge. Also of note to any keen observer is that this Kodak Z-980 has a longer lens barrel on it. Now that's because that's something that I've done. You get some PVC pipe, some electrical tape, and you can make an adapter tube of sorts, so you can attach filters to this model. This model unfortunately doesn't come with filter threads like later Kodaks in the Astro Zoom line do. The one thing that I wish this Kodak had that it does not, and I mentioned in my first video, is a metal tripod mount. I have a adapter on here right now to use on the tripod that the camera phone is using right now, but it's made of plastic and you have to be careful with it. Any good zoom camera should always come with a metal socket on it. I think that's one of the cost-cutting features that Kodak used on this model. Not too big a deal. I use this camera mostly handheld, but on occasion it would be nice if that was just a metal socket. I'd be a little bit more secure in using the camera more often. Today my goal isn't to have a particular shooting location in mind. Today is more spontaneous and free. I don't know what's going to happen. There's a couple spots that I prefer to shoot, but again, it's hard to say. That's the fun with landscape and natural history photography. I don't know what's going to happen. But today maybe will be more of just an overview of the Holiday Woodlands Preserve area. There's some really nice spots. There's so much to see. Not sure. As with much of the northern Michigan area and the Traverse regions particularly, Mesic hardwood northern forests are pretty common. And this is a great example of that kind of forest. Or woodland. White pines, you have white oaks, there's quaking aspen, we have red oak, there's some maples in this area, we have all sorts of species, and I think there's a couple red pine and jack pine here too, but not so many of those. Again, as I mentioned in my first video, there's an important role that fungus plays in the health of an ecosystem, especially in a forest, as in anywhere. Quite a few species represented here. It's really quite beautiful. On my hike out to the creek, I noticed these white oak leaves along the trail side. And this is a great subject to photograph. You have the backlight from the sun coming in, it's showing the veins and the structure of the leaf. And there's a bit of a reddish orange brown tint to the leaves, and it's real beautiful. I'm going to get the Kodak out, use it in macro mode, and shoot some nice close-ups of the leaves and the textures. I also want to note that I'm shooting in RAW format today. Usually I shoot in JPEG, but today I'm shooting in RAW because I really want to have the ability to mess with the files after I capture the images out in the field. I want more flexibility, and RAW affords that kind of flexibility. Anyway, as you can see, I have the camera in front of my phone right now, recording. I have the camera in what's called infinity focus for landscapes, so it kind of focuses on everything. But I want to switch that because I'm going to be shooting these leaves. So I'm going to go up to the top of the Kodak. And there's a button right here I showed you earlier. And that's to shoot in a close-up macro mode, right there. I'm going to press that button. And on the screen, you get your focus options, autofocus. Now we're in macro, right now. This camera also features what's called a super macro to get even closer, but I'm going to be shooting in macro because I want a little bit of background too. ISO 100, f 2.8, so the aperture is open for the most light coming in. Have to press the shutter to focus first. Not all the way down, never press the shutter all the way down. Focus first by half depressing it. And click. And try a couple more. Another great thing about bridge cameras is the live view on the screen. I know mirrorless and DSLRs do this, but it's something that compact bridge cameras have always been great for. I wanted to try some shots in super macro. You can see the flower on the screen has a plus sign. That means super macro. Now I'm going to go over and get some shots of close-ups with it in super macro mode. I am currently heading over to what is called the dune area of this preserve. I'm not sure if it's technically an official dune or not. I have a hunch it's more of an erosion thing and it just happens to look like a dune. Dunes aren't typically found in this area in Traverse City, but then again, I'm not a professional geologist by any means. As I was heading to the sandy dune type area, I noticed a stand of trees with some really beautiful yellow leaves starting to get hit by some light from the sun coming through the clouds, so I decided to stop and see if I could compose a beautiful composition to capture, again, the beauty of the autumn season in northern Michigan. Gotta wait. As I was waiting for the sun to show up for that other location I was waiting for, I noticed to my left this stand of beautiful mixed hardwoods, especially that orange color popping against the green of the white pine. And of course I couldn't help myself and I took a couple shots, and I will put those up and show you. Moving on, now I'm going to head up to that dune area I was speaking of, right up here. Pretty neat little area. It's lined by some really well established blueberry shrubs. There's some ferns along the bottom portions of it. Pretty neat little feature to have in an area like this. And of course in the winter it makes a great sledding hill. Further down the trail, one can begin to appreciate the total landscape of the area I was just in. To the left are those gorgeous yellows and reds striking against those evergreens, and to the right you can see the dune type area. The sun came. Check this out. This is what it's all about for me. This is it. This is why I wait all year for this. I really can't wait to check those out on a bigger screen when I get home later. I love that when that light just hits those yellow leaves like that with the shadows in some other places. Now I want to show another spot at this preserve. Heading into the woods, it's one of the tributaries of the area. It's a nice creek. There's some really beautiful babbling brook type areas, and it's a very photographic area, of course. This is Kepler Creek. Forgive me if I have the name wrong. One of the numerous tributaries that drains into the much larger Elk River chain of lakes in the northern Michigan region. This creek, along with many others and the wetland upstream from this area, provide numerous benefits to everyone, including filtering the water, water quality, recreation opportunities, provide valuable, or I should say invaluable, habitat for invertebrates, little water bugs. I think I've seen fishing here at some point. Deer in this area come and visit this spot numerous times throughout the year, as I can attest. I can see some hoof prints right in front of me right now, actually. And I've in numerous situations seen them jump over this creek. It's pretty amazing area. For my last composition today, I'm going to shoot at the creek here. Want to focus in on a lot of the elements here, the foreground, the middle ground, and the background, with those gorgeous yellow maples. I believe they're yellow this year. I think those are maples. Should be a really nice shot. And again, with the Kodak, I'm focusing in the infinity mode on the camera to get everything in the frame, so everything's in focus. No need for focus stacking. Today has been a very rewarding day to be out in the woods. To just, I almost tripped over something over there. To just be outside, to enjoy the fall colors, and to especially enjoy the aromas out here. I wish cameras could capture the aromas of the decaying leaves in the cool air with a slight hint of sun. It's just wonderful. A really beautiful area to be this time of year. Just wanted to mention that if you want more information about any of these areas, or just to read about cameras or thoughts in general, and even some bicycle mountain bike related content, visit my website, terrascriber.blog. Again, that is terrascriber.blog. Head on over. And until next time, thank you so much, and get outside. Take that back. One last location where we started this adventure today. The sun's hitting the trees now. I had the foreground shadowed, so the emphasis is on the colors in the background.